They can no longer keep the lioness in its cage. They are afraid of what's to come. We cannot be stopped, not in form, not in flesh. For those of you who have been paying attention, they have relinquished and set free the next stage of pestilence on us humans. I need not give it names or titles or chemistry or biology. For those curious, you can look it up and you will see. They know that people are afraid of fungus, bacteria, and they are going to attempt to use our lowest vibrational fields of existence, of fear, of dying, and of fear of not continuing onward. Because if they keep you constantly in the healing cycle and constantly in the cycle of worrying, of all the toxicity that has been imposed on us by poisoning our air, our food, our soil, by poisoning our minds, our psychology, by illuminating false fires and flames in the exterior world, keeping us entertained. But the power that lies, what most will consider good news, is that, as I just said, the lioness, the lion, can no longer be contained. There was never a container or a containment on us. It was always in the mind, embedded in our biome, our biology, our nervous system, and even in the manipulation of the keys that we carry that most would refer to as DNA or frozen light. It's beginning to melt. The solar flares are emitting the right frequencies for those who have been doing the work from within. At this point, doing the work literally means observe, do not absorb. Pay attention to the helicopters. Pay attention to the hovering planes as they start to morph around and above your vicinity of presence. As you start to hone into your highest self, you become, as a beautiful soul had mentioned to me in the astral, the remembrance of the living tree of life, no longer separate from the tree of knowledge, and no longer absorb the differences, the variances of the depths of the two energetic fields of frequencies that have been constructed here. Having a somatic nervous system, and B, physical trees, physical external stimuli. See, once you become the breath and the vibratory field of all the elementals and all of nature and all of Mother Earth's creation the same, you begin to activate your crystalline body, as many would refer to as Christos, or Christ consciousness awareness. As we begin to integrate the bridge of the seeming separation between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, that we were never separate, but we were experiencing separation for a blip of time, that they now, whoever they are in complete fear. And because of that, imagine being in the jungle and with the fears of the lions, the panthers, the tigers, the feral cats. What do? With one human experience, you start preparing for war. You start creating these biological chemicals to spray when they attack or when they enter the same trail that you are walking in. With the fear of a version of yourself unrecognized. Because this introduces the other version of those who have been living in the Amazon. And you hear very little, if not nothing, with such attacks of fear. Why? Because the Amazon, Mother Earth, many would refer to as the jungle, is the great mother, having been imprisoned within the field of the darkest aspects of your subconscious mind and being. You attract what you fear is simple, and yet you have the capacity to repel what you fear. Why? Because your mind alone will set and create the frequencies within your somatic nervous system and sense of experiencing this world, thus creating the moment, creating the experience in the moment. As we are becoming conscious of that, as we are getting lost in the Amazon, lost in the jungle, lost in the hood, we are remembering to love ourselves, to recompute our nervous systems, to experience the fear of uncertainty, unknown, and of physical violence that exists all around us, but to anchor into the roots of our existential being, remembering that we are infinite beings experiencing a finite reality. See, they don't want us to know that, because simply by that alone begins to melt, begins to change and morph within a plasmic field of resonance and reality within that dimension of reality. The plasma within our blood, the ancient intelligence of the human biome, but also the ancient intelligence of our multi-dimensional existence and state of being, that all is mental and all is of the mind. You need not know spirit to be mental. We are here to remind those of their forgotten self, because eternally many are suffering. And while people are popping out of those realities, yet that vortex of consciousness still exists. The more that you keep attempting to fragment and to dissipate that of what you fear, the more that you attempt to create the medicine, the antibodies to fight what you fear, the more the fear expands into your conscious biome until you reach a point of enough is enough. Once you're sick and tired of living in this cage, in this container, once you speak your existence and command that enough is enough, pay attention to the sound of the police, the ambulance. See the psyops within the subconscious field of matter hover over you in places where you shouldn't see helicopters or airplanes. You will see them. Why? Because they are spraying the lion, the lioness that you are. And that ancient African saying that the lioness need not roar to command her presence. She simply requires to exist in complete observance of self and of others, unbothered. The great separation is here. And for the ones who are attracting this message, know this: we have chosen this path of this separation between the light and the false narrative, that you would say the false light of technology. We are being untethered no more, so that we can be connected to everything, everyone, simply by being. And how are we doing this? We have chosen to dive in and see that separation through one last time. But this time, even though we are sitting within this false light of reality, as this reality is converting to what you will call another phantom reality, you are remembering that you are not tethered to that. You will begin to shapeshift to the reality of your chosen path. That your path is not even a path. It's your birthright to remember who you are, who you've been, who you will continue to be. Yes, this is the final countdown, but with great compassion and empathy. This countdown does not serve us. We are celestial beings here to see a very divine, a very sacred process through. Allow source consciousness to enlighten us with the expansive nature of who we truly are, as everything and everyone now begins to unfold, unravel, and shed. Convert the fear now by re-encoding the number 6, which represents F, into 0. Ear, somatic nervous system, into your kidneys, up into your heart, up into your all-seeing. Pay more attention to the process of how you are rebirthing an entirely new somatic nervous system that was always designed to fly. Look up the real biology of how a dragonfly flies. They do not flap their wings. They vibrate their wings. And those microtubes within begin to emit a new vibrational field as that vibratory action enters the center and the core of these tubes of these dragonflies. In that moment, the dragonfly changes and morphs their vortex field. And that vortex field within the vibratory field occludes gravity. There is no gravity in their field. So gravity becomes eliminated in the process. Gravity thus becomes morphed from the 6, as in resting after the 6th day, into the releasing of the 6, into the 7. Be a dragonfly, my friend. And remember that humor, curiosity, and childlike behaviors with the ancient wisdom of the elders within is very Lyran. It's very earth, the same. See, we were never separate. We were just forgotten. Just for a second, a minute, maybe a day. I love you.